I never imagined that a simple birthday gift could completely destroy my family and make me discover a secret that had been hidden for over 20 years. What happened on that March 15th forever changed how I see the people around me, especially those I trusted the most. If you want to know how a DNA test kit can reveal lies that lasted decades and how it almost cost me everything I loved most in life, stay with me until the end of this story. And don't forget to hit that like button and ring the notification bell, because this is one of the most intense stories I've ever lived through. It all started on my 28th birthday. I've always been a very curious person about my origins, you know? My parents, Maria and John, were always evasive when I asked about our family, especially about the grandparents I never met. They would just say it was complicated and change the subject. My girlfriend, Anna, who had been dating me for 3 years at the time, knew about this curiosity of mine. She always encouraged me to research more about our family tree, but I never had the courage to pressure my parents. Anna was a psychologist and always said that knowing our roots was important to understand who we are. On my birthday, we had a small party at home. Just close family, my parents, my sister Claire, who's 2 years younger than me, Anna, and some close friends. The party was great, everyone laughing, eating cake, that warm atmosphere that only family parties have. When it came time for presents, Anna called me aside and handed me a small box, wrapped very carefully. She had that mischievous smile I knew well. "Open it slowly," she said, "because this gift is going to change your life." I laughed, thinking she was exaggerating. I opened the box and found a 23andMe DNA test kit. You know those tests where you spit in a tube and they send you a complete report about your ancestry and even possible relatives who also took the test? "Anna, this is incredible," I said, super excited. "Finally, I'm going to discover where my family came from." She was beaming seeing my reaction. "I thought you'd like it. Now you can discover everything about your origins without having to bother your parents with questions." When I showed the gift to the rest of the family, the reactions were strange. My mother was visibly uncomfortable and forced a smile. My father cleared his throat and said something like "how interesting," but you could tell he wasn't happy. My sister Claire thought it was super cool and said she wanted to do one too. At the moment, I didn't pay much attention to my parents' strange reaction. I thought maybe they were just worried about privacy issues or something like that. After all, some people from their generation are more resistant to these new technologies. 2 weeks later, I took the test and sent it to the lab. The website said the results would be ready in 4 to 6 weeks. During this time, I was super anxious, imagining what countries my family had come from, if I had any Viking or Mediterranean heritage, those kinds of things. But what I didn't know was that this test wasn't just going to show me where I came from. It was going to reveal lies that had been carefully constructed throughout my entire life. The first sign that something was wrong came 3 weeks into the waiting period. I was at work when my mom called me in the middle of the afternoon. She never called during my work hours unless it was an emergency. "Hi Mom, is everything okay? Did something happen?" "Son, I was thinking, are you sure you want to do this DNA test? Wouldn't it be better to cancel it?" I was confused. "Mom, I already took the test 3 weeks ago. It's already at the lab." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. But then, she said something that chilled me to the bone. "Son, there are things about our family that maybe it's better you don't know. Do you think I should have noticed the signs from the beginning? Let me know in the comments what you would have done in my place." After that strange call from my mom, I couldn't concentrate at work. "There are things about our family that maybe it's better you don't know," that phrase echoed in my head nonstop. When I got home that day, Anna noticed I was different. I told her about the call, and she was as intrigued as I was. "That's very strange," she said, with that psychologist face analyzing the situation. Why would she call specifically to discourage you now? The test has already been done. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept imagining what secrets could be hidden in my family. Did we have criminal relatives? Had someone died from some terrible disease they didn't want me to know about? Or was it something simpler, like my grandparents being bad people they preferred to forget? The next morning, I decided to confront my parents. I went to their house before work, something I rarely did. "Mom, about that call yesterday, what did you mean by things it's better I don't know?" She exchanged a nervous look with my dad, who was having coffee at the kitchen table. It was the kind of look two people exchange when they have a shared secret. "Son," my dad said, clearing his throat, "every family has skeletons in the closet. Your mother is just worried that you might be disappointed with what you might discover about our ancestors." But I knew my parents too well. When my dad gets nervous, he starts fidgeting with his hands, and when my mom is lying, she avoids eye contact. Both were doing exactly that. "You're hiding something from me," I said, more as a statement than a question. The silence that followed was deafening. "It's nothing major," my mother finally said, but her voice was shaky. "It's just that, well, you know your grandparents died when you were little. We didn't have much contact with the extended family. Maybe it's better that way." But now I was really intrigued. The more they tried to discourage me, the more I wanted to know the truth. I left their house with more questions than answers. During the following weeks, I started paying attention to things I had never noticed before. For example, we didn't have any photos of my grandparents at home. Not one. For a family that preserved memories of everything, this was strange. I also noticed that my parents never told childhood stories. When other families got together and adults told funny stories from their childhood days, my parents would always change the subject or listen without contributing. One week before the results arrived, Claire came to visit me and noticed my concern. "You're acting very strange, bro. What's going on?" I told her about our mom's call and about my feeling that something was wrong. Claire, who had always been closer to our parents, was thoughtful. "You know what," she said, "now that you mention it, I remember some strange things from our childhood. Do you remember how our parents reacted when some TV report about people finding lost family through DNA tests came on?" I didn't remember specifically, but Claire continued, "They always got uncomfortable and changed the channel. At the time I thought it was normal, but now. But then, 2 days before my results arrived, something happened that changed everything." Can you imagine what happened? Leave your theories in the comments. 2 days before my results arrived, I was at work when I received a call from an unknown number. Normally I don't answer, but something told me to answer this time. "Hello? Hi, are you Lucas Silva?" said a female voice I didn't recognize. "Yes, that's me." "Who's speaking?" "My name is Carla. Carla Santos. I know this will sound strange, but I took a DNA test a few months ago and you showed up as my half-brother." My world stopped. That must be some mistake," I stammered. "I only have one sister." "I know how this sounds," she said, with a gentle but determined voice. I was also shocked when I saw the result. "But the tests don't lie, Lucas. We share 25% of DNA, which is exactly what we expect from half-siblings." My mind was blank. I got up from my work desk and went to a more private place. How did you get my number?" "It wasn't easy. I hired a private investigator to help me find you. I needed to know the truth." "What truth?" There was a long pause. "Lucas, I grew up knowing that my biological father wasn't the man who raised me. My mother was always vague about who my real father was. When I took the DNA test, I discovered I have a half-brother and a half-sister. You and Claire. My heart was beating so hard I was sure she could hear it through the phone. This is impossible, I said. My parents have been married for 30 years. They never separated. Lucas, she said softly, your father is John Silva, right? Works at Santos and Silva Construction Company since the 90s? How did she know that? Yes, I replied, barely able to speak. My mother worked at the same company in the early 90s. They had a relationship. I was born in 1994. 2 years before Claire was born. 1 year after me. You're telling me my father had a daughter with another woman while he was married to my mother? I didn't want to cause problems for anyone, she continued. But when I saw I had half-siblings, I needed to know. I needed to understand why my father never wanted to know me. My mind was racing. Suddenly, everything made sense. My parents' nervousness about the DNA test. The attempts to discourage me. My mother's call. They knew. Both of them knew I could discover Carla. Carla, I said, trying to process everything, are you absolutely sure about this? I have the test report here. I can send it to you. And Lucas. I have photos. Photos? Of your father with me when I was a baby. My mother kept some. I felt sick. My whole life, my whole family, was built on a lie. But the story got even more complicated when Carla said, Lucas, there's something else you need to know. I'm not the only one. What do you mean? You have 2 more half-siblings. Rodrigo and Beatriz. We all showed up as your matches. My father hadn't cheated on my mother once. He had maintained a second family for years. How do you think I felt discovering this? Comment what you would do in this situation. After that phone call, I couldn't work anymore that day. I asked to leave early and went straight home, but I couldn't even tell Anna what had happened. My head was complete chaos. That night, I decided I would wait for my own results to arrive before confronting anyone. I needed to have absolute certainty before exploding the bomb in my family. 2 days later, on a Thursday I'll never forget, I received the email from 23andMe, your results are ready. My hand was shaking when I clicked the link. Anna was beside me, curious to see our ancestry. The first thing that appeared was the origins map. Iberian, Italian, a bit of Portuguese, nothing surprising for a Brazilian family. But when I scrolled down the page and saw the DNA relatives section, my heart stopped. There she was, Carla Santos. Half-sister. 25% shared DNA. Lucas, what is this? Anna asked, noticing my expression. But it wasn't just Carla. There was more. Much more. The report showed I had 3 half-siblings I never knew existed. Carla was just one of them. There was also Rodrigo Santos, 24 years old, and Beatriz Santos, 26 years old. My father hadn't cheated on my mother once. He had maintained a second family for years. Anna was shocked when I told her about Carla's call and showed her the results. My God, Lucas. This means your parents know about these children? It was now or never. I couldn't pretend I didn't know anymore. I called my parents and said I was coming over. My voice must have made it clear it was serious, because neither of them questioned it. When I arrived at their house, Anna came with me for moral support. My parents were sitting in the living room, visibly nervous. Dad, I said, showing my phone with the DNA results, who are Carla, Rodrigo, and Beatriz Santos? The silence that followed was deafening. My mother started crying. My father lowered his head. Son. He began. No, I interrupted. I don't want apologies. I want the truth. The whole truth. That's when my mother, through tears, told a story I never could have imagined. My father really had a relationship with Carmen Santos in the 90s, while he was married to my mother. But it wasn't a simple betrayal. My parents were going through a marital crisis and separated for 2 years. During this separation, my father got seriously involved with Carmen. We thought it was going to work out, my mother said, wiping away tears. You were only 1 year old. I was raising you alone, and your father was building a new life with Carmen. During those 2 years, Carla and Rodrigo were born. Beatriz, the oldest, was actually Carmen's daughter from another relationship, but my father adopted her as if she were his own. So why did you get back together? I asked. Because we still loved each other, my father said, finally raising his head. And because I realized I couldn't live without you and your mother. And the other children? Carmen agreed it would be better for the children if I wasn't part of their lives. She said she would find someone better to be their father. But the story got even more complicated. Over the years, my father had secretly sent money to Carmen to help raise the children. He never stopped feeling responsible for them. For how long? I asked. Until today, he said quietly. Can you imagine how I felt discovering this? Comment what you would do in this situation. Until today? I repeated, not believing what I was hearing. You've been sending money to this woman for over 20 years while lying to me and Claire about having other children? My mother was crying harder now. Lucas, you have to understand, we were trying to protect our family. Protect our family? I stood up, anger boiling over. By lying to us our entire lives? By pretending these people don't exist? Anna put her hand on my arm, trying to calm me down, but I was beyond furious. How much? I demanded. How much money have you been sending them? My father looked broken. About $500 a month. To help with school, clothes, medical bills. $500? I shouted. For 20 years? That's over $120,000. Money that could have helped me and Claire with college, with our lives. Son, we never let it affect your life, my mother said desperately. We made sure you and Claire never went without anything. That's not the point, Mom. The point is you've been living a double life. You've been supporting children you abandoned while pretending to be this perfect family. The room went silent except for my mother's crying. Did Carmen ever ask you to be part of their lives? I asked. My father nodded slowly. A few times over the years. Especially when Carla graduated high school, when Rodrigo got into college, when Beatriz got married. Carmen would send me photos and updates, hoping I might want to meet them. And you said no every time. I was scared, he admitted. Scared of losing you and Claire and your mother. Scared of destroying the life we had rebuilt. I sat back down, trying to process everything. So these kids grew up thinking their father abandoned them, while you were here playing the perfect dad to me and Claire. It wasn't like that, my mother said. Carmen remarried when Carla was 5. Her stepfather adopted all 3 children. They had a good life. But they always knew the truth, didn't they? They knew their real father was out there, choosing his other family over them. The guilt on my parents' faces was overwhelming. And now, I continued, Carla reaches out because she wants to know her biological family, and you tried to sabotage my DNA test to keep this secret buried. We panicked, my father said. When you said you were doing the test, we knew there was a chance you'd find them. We didn't know what to do. You could have told me the truth. You could have prepared me. We were scared you'd hate us, my mother whispered. I looked at both of them, these people who had raised me, loved me, but also lied to me every single day of my life. I don't hate you, I said finally. But I'm disappointed. And I'm hurt. And I need time to figure out how to deal with all of this. I stood up to leave, then turned back. And I'm going to meet them. Carla, Rodrigo, and Beatriz. They're my family too, whether you like it or not. The look of fear in my parents' eyes told me everything I needed to know about how they felt about that decision. What would you have done in my position? Leave your thoughts in the comments. After that explosive confrontation, I needed several days to process everything. Anna was incredible during this period, giving me space when I needed to be alone and support when I needed to talk. Claire was shocked when she learned the truth, but unlike me, she reacted with curiosity. You mean I have more siblings? She asked. That's incredible. I didn't think it was incredible. I felt betrayed, confused, and mainly angry for being kept in the dark my entire life. But Carla didn't give up trying to establish contact. She sent me respectful messages, photos of the Santos family, and even information about Rodrigo and Beatriz, who were also curious to meet their half-siblings. 2 weeks after the big revelation, I finally agreed to meet Carla at a neutral coffee shop. Anna came with me for moral support. When Carla walked into the cafe, it was a shock. She had the same eyes as my father and a smile that reminded me of Claire. There was no doubt we were family. Thank you for agreeing to meet me, she said, sitting nervously across from us. Over the next 2 hours, Carla told me about her life. She was a nurse, married, with 2 young children. Rodrigo was finishing engineering school and Beatriz worked as a teacher. All of them had grown up knowing they had a biological father who wasn't part of their lives, but they never knew our names until the DNA test. Our mother always said you guys didn't know about us, Carla explained. She never wanted to cause problems for your family. At the end of our conversation, I realized that Carla wasn't the villain of the story. She was just a person who, like me, was trying to understand her own origins. Over the following months, I slowly began building a relationship with my half-siblings. It wasn't easy. There were moments of anger, frustration, and even jealousy. After all, they had shared experiences I never had. But I also discovered incredible things. Rodrigo had the same musical tastes as me. Beatriz was passionate about books, just like Claire. And Carla had a sarcastic sense of humor that reminded me a lot of myself. The relationship with my parents took longer to heal. I understood why they made the choices they did, but it still hurt to know they had lied to me for so many years. We just wanted to protect you, my mother said during one of our reconciliation conversations. And protect our family. But family isn't just about you guys, I replied. Carla, Rodrigo, and Beatriz are also my family. Today, almost a year later, I can say my family has grown in ways I never imagined. We spent last Christmas all together. The Silvas and the Santos finally united. Carmen, who I finally met a few months ago, became an important person in my life. She helped me understand her perspective on the whole situation and apologized for keeping her children away from me and Claire for so long. In the end, I discovered that family isn't just about blood or who raised you. It's about the people who choose to be part of your life and who you choose to love back. Do you think I made the right decisions? How would you handle a situation like this? Let me know in the comments. This experience taught me that the truth, no matter how painful, is always worth more than a comfortable lie. Yes, it was hard to discover that my entire life was built on half-truths. Yes, it was complicated dealing with the anger and the feeling of betrayal. But in the end, I gained 3 incredible siblings, a stepmother who became a second mother, and a much deeper understanding of what family really means. My parents aren't perfect, but they're human. And sometimes, people make mistakes trying to protect those they love. If this story affected you in any way, hit that like button and tell me in the comments how you would have reacted in my place. Have you ever discovered family secrets that changed your lives? Subscribe to the channel for more real stories like this one, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any episodes. See you in the next one.